Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This is that man A&J, and you've come to the best place for your pro wrestling sports talk, the best place for your sports pro wrestling talk, no matter how you want to word it. Either way, this is where you want to be, and of course, we're going to go ahead and jump right into things on the sports note. And I gotta say, this one to me is really kind of funny on a couple different fronts. I don't have a particular personal investment into this subject, but I'm not even sure how else I want to say this, but just to say what I'm going to say here. We got a potential ban of the brotherly shove. Wow. This has got to be some of the reachiest shit I've ever heard of when it comes to the NFL. It's just real wild to me that we've gotten to this point to where these are things that we got to talk about banning. I mean, I don't know. It just is funny to me because how would it have felt if they brought back the Philly special and just completely obliterated the Chiefs with that, along with the brotherly shove? I mean, it's just, I don't know. To me, it's the kind of thing to where it's just, if you have a problem with it, stop it. Don't, just like if you're getting the score run up on you in a game, if you got a problem with it, stop it. You know, and honestly, they don't have a whole lot of anything in the league that actually has a great success rate when it comes to stopping them, other than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers from the previous year's playoffs, where they actually eliminated the Philadelphia Eagles and actually had a bit of a formula to stop the brotherly shove, namely Vita Vea. And of course, as it was pointed out by numerous ESPN analysts, it's all in the personnel. I mean, you got guys like Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, and then of course Mekhi Becton, who have got to be maybe the biggest interior three throughout the league. And then of course it doesn't help that Jalen Hurts already squats 600 pounds. I don't know what else to tell y'all on that one. And then, of course, a lot of people have talked about potential for injury. Sure, but that's football. There's always potential for injury. Yes, it does look like a rugby scrum because that's basically what's going on down there. But there's no evidence of actual injuries, as pointed out by one ESPN analyst by the name of Courtney Cronin. I mean, again, I think really it's just a matter of, does this get banned? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. It just depends on the mood the owners are in about it. There's a good chance it could happen. I don't see it realistically or on a practical aspect of it being banned, but who knows? I mean, anything's possible. It is the NFL. With that in mind, we're going to jump right into the NBA real quick and talk a little bit about unlikely playoff contenders, namely the Los Angeles Lakers, now with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. I mean, if you saw the game they had in Denver the other night, a lot of people are buzzing. They're thinking this could actually be a playoff contender. I think they get into the playoffs, but I don't think that they're necessarily a threat or that much of a contender. But I don't know, if they play an awful lot like they did against the Nuggets on Saturday night, anything's possible. It really just depends. I think they're still missing a couple of pieces, but I gotta say it was a really impressive performance for everything that I saw. It's just amazing how well Luka is already fitting into this system. I mean, he's making JJ Redick look awfully good right now, and hell, even LeBron is looking as good as he ever has been, and it's just incredible. So I gotta say, if nothing else, realistically speaking, I don't think that the Lakers do that much in the playoffs, but I definitely see them making some noise. So we'll find out about that in the coming months. But really interesting to see where this direction this team has been going in recent months, or in recent days rather. But with that in mind, we also got to talk about another unlikely playoff contender / threat, the Golden State Warriors. With my man Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green, I feel like if there's any low-key playoff threat, this has got to be it right here. I mean, number one, you got to think about the fact that there's a history the Warriors have with winning. It's really as simple as that, and you really don't even have to say much more than that, especially because they still have Steph and Draymond. Clay may be gone, but the two of them there can make things more than enough. And now that you factor in Jimmy Butler, which for whatever reason in this picture he's got his old Chicago number 21, which that ain't the case at all. But not that it matters. Either way, it's just really interesting to see what we've seen from them, because also on Sunday they had themselves a hell of a performance where it looked like the Warriors were putting on a clinic similar to the Lakers. I mean, just the things that Jimmy Butler did for the Miami Heat for a long time, not just in the bubble, but a couple of years ago, taking them into the finals, although outmatched by the eventual champion Denver Nuggets. Man, what he did for them with what I consider to be a lesser squad than what you already had with the Warriors, I don't know any other way to look at it. This is a team where, again, realistically speaking, I don't see a whole lot happening. They make some noise in this year's playoffs, similar to the Lakers, but do they do anything realistically? As of right now, I'm going to say no. However, you keep playing a certain way, and I've said before, and it's also been said in sports, it's all about getting hot in the right time, and both the Lakers and the Warriors are in a great situation that is very favorable for the both of them. And maybe they wind up being the Eastern Conference Finals for all we know. But with all that being said, I gotta say, you gotta look out for either one of these teams. It'd be foolish to overlook them, especially even with the Western Conference as loaded as it is. With that in mind, speaking of loaded, this one's really, really loaded. We gotta talk about NFL legend Steve Smith here. Oh man, I'm not even really sure what to say about this one, man. God. This one to me is far and away the wildest situation, man, that I have really expected to ever be witness to. Yeah, I'm not even gonna say. I'm not even gonna put any of the other people's names into it. I'm just gonna cut right to the chase about it here. Apparently, it turns out this man who pretty much for the vast majority of his career was known for putting over his wife and kids, especially for touchdown celebrations, whenever mic'd up for live action games, and again, he allegedly has extramarital affairs with another man's wife. Wow. I mean, it's just funny because of all the things that are being said. Dude put out every bit of possible information he could about this. Especially the fact that, really, bottom line to it, he wasn't good enough for his own wife. I mean, that in and of itself says so much that just, I don't even know where to start with that. It's actually rather mind-numbing, if I'm being perfectly honest. Like, to think that people are actually this, I don't even know the words. Like, it's just hilarious. But then there's the matter of Steve Smith Sr. himself. Like, why would you get yourself put out there like this? This has gotta be embarrassing. Like, And then, of course, the fact that there's a matter of the phone call where he actually hits this man up, the husband, I mean, and actually calls him out on it. And he says, "I'm sorry." Basically admitting the fact that him and Dude's wife actually got it on. I don't know. All I know is that this is some of the wildest shit. Like, I don't normally talk about these things, but I have to for the fact that how do you get yourself put out there like that? Just how? Or put yourself in a position to get yourself put out there like that. Like, I'm thinking about situations similar to this. I mean, it's one of those things where it's funny, but it's really not funny. And I'm thinking about situations like, if I remember correctly, there was something else that came up like this. Oh, goodness, I can't even remember the people involved. But just coming up with an example, you got situations similar to Michael Vick and the dogfighting scandal. How did he get put out there on that? He got caught trying to go through TSA with a container that contained marijuana contents. That wasn't smart. And we all ultimately found out why that was the case. And then, of course, you gotta think about Hulk Hogan, years ago, basically got himself put out there as a racist. All after having finished a sex tape, of all things. I mean, like, how do people end up putting themselves in these situations? It's just incredible. I just had to talk about this because I can't understand it. I really can't, And even for the fact that I had aspirations of being a pro athlete at one point, I guess I'm glad that didn't work out. And I guess that's where I'll leave it at that from here. Y'all know what it is. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think on this. Damn, man. What the hell are we doing? This has been your time with A&J. I appreciate you spending it with me. Ay, ay, ay.